Stalin is far from imagining that a threat from the West will soon threaten his regime. In Germany, the Nazi Party has been in power for over 5 years now. He advocates superiority of the Germanic race. As leader, Chancellor Adolf Hitler, just like Stalin, has established a dictatorial regime. He had already annexed Austria. He wanted to seize all of its neighboring countries, including France. But most of all, he dreamt of attacking the Soviet Union and to annex its territory for the benefit of the German people.
The mission of the Nazi movement is to destroy Judeo-Bolshevism. Destroying Russia will give the German people a vital space the masters need to eat. My ambition is to be the man who will break Marxism.
Stalin finally realized the threat. But too late. The USSR was not ready for a conflict. Its weapons were outdated. Its staff was decimated. During the terror, he had shots fired 20,000 Soviet officers. Members of the general staff who were around him during this 1934 movie, there are only a few outdated generals left who don't understand anything about modern warfare. Just like the dashing Budiani.
You won't change my mind. As soon as the war breaks out, everyone will shout, "Chonget the cavalry."
To make up for the delay, Stalin needs some time. In August 1939, he managed to get along at the last minute with Ribbentrop, Hitler's ambassador to Moscow. The two giants signed a non-aggression agreement just a few days before triggering the World War. An unnatural agreement, which has a lot of ulterior motives, but which gives Stalin a break.
It's all just a game about who gets the other one up their sleeve. You'll see, Russia will succeed to avoid war with Germany for a while longer.
A week later, September 1st, 1939, the German army attacked Poland. It's the start of the Second World War. In a few weeks, the Nazis crushed the Polish army and won a resounding victory. The first out of many. 8 months later, in May 1940, Hitler attacked from the west and occupied France in less than 2 months. He enforced his law in the half of Europe. Military occupation, racial persecutions, and political repression. In the meantime, Stalin did not remain inactive. In favor of the pact signed with Hitler, he conquered new territories. In the winter of 1941, he still thinks is safe from a conflict with Germany. But this time he is wrong. It's at that moment that Hitler decided to make realize his old dream. Destroy the Soviet Union. It's the Barbarossa Plan, one of the biggest military operations in history. Hitler planned to overwhelm the Soviet army and to reach Moscow in just a few weeks. As early as spring, the German army sets ready for battle at the border. On site, Soviet generals observed troop movements. They sounded the alarm and asked for permissio to deploy soldiers. But in the Kremlin, Stalin, just as paranoid as ever, dreaded a trap. He answers them.
You have a big head, but a small brain. Germany will never stand alone in the war against Russia.
June 16, 1941, a spy sent a message saying an attack was imminent. But Stalin persisted.
He's a disinformer. He should go to hell.
June 21st, the eve of the major Russian offensive, a German deserter passed the border and said that the attack would be launched at dawn. Stalin's verdict was,
Shoot him.
June 22, 1941. The invasion started. Three million German soldiers attacked the USSR. From the first hours, they destroyed 1,000 planes on the ground. The steamroller German entered the battle. A woman was trapped in a village.
Thousands of our soldiers are wandering aimlessly, all scattered around. Our leaders are leaving. They are leaving us to die.
Symbol of defeat, Stalin's eldest son, Yakov, was captured as a prisoner while on the run disguised as a peasant. At the back, Russia is in shock. In order to understand, the population is running to get the newspapers. Everyone is waiting for Stalin's reaction. But it's not coming. Muscovites, like young Gainer, want to know more.
We're glued to the radio. We are waiting for Stalin's speech. We need to hear his voice. But he is silent. It's Molotov, his deputy, who is talking. Everyone is listening. We are told that we're in the middle of war. But where is Stalin?
Stalin is entrenched behind the walls of the Kremlin. It is annihilated.
All is lost. Lenin founded our state and we ruined everything. He left us a fantastic legacy. And we ruined it.
Because of his repeated mistakes, Stalin is personally responsible for the disaster. But he doesn't want to admit it. As usual, he is looking for culprits. These thousands of soldiers surrendering are considered traitors. Their families will be deported. As far as deserters are concerned, he sent to the front special units responsible for watching soldiers and he gave them explicit orders.
In case of panic and retraction, have them shot on the spot, including those who will panic and the cowards.
In just a few weeks, Stalin jumped from one bad decision to the other. In Ukraine, he prohibited his generals from evacuating the city of Kiev. 5 days later, Nazis captured 500,000 soldiers. It was the biggest catch ever done by an army. In October 1941, 4 months after the start of the Barbarossa offensive, Hitler almost won his bet. The German army was a few miles from Moscow. The capital is bombed every day. The population took refuge in the subway. Writer Viktor Kravchenko noted this in his journal.
Moscow gives you the feeling that you're dying. Panic reigns, and it enables the most incredible sounds to circulate. Some said that a coup had occurred in the Kremlin and that Stalin was arrested.
Actually, Stalin also took refuge in the subway. Here it is, while all his followers urged him to evacuate the capital and take a decision that would change everything. In spite of the danger, he decided to remain in Moscow. In a few hours, he will address his soldiers. November 7th, 8 in the morning. Regiments joined the Red Square in the middle of a snowstorm. Following Stalin's call. The tanks came directly from the front, well armed. The Germans could attack at any time. But Stalin's speech galvanized the troops.
Male and female supporters, the whole world is watching us and is waiting for us to crush down the hordes of looters and German invaders who died during the German invasion.
Glory to our country, to freedom, to independence. Onward to victory under Lenin's flag. In a few days, the Soviet army managed to stabilize the war in front of Moscow. It's only 10 months later, in the summer of 1942, that of the greatest battles of the century will occur. We are in Stalingrad. It was the turning point of the Second World War. The Germans, who did not succeed to bring down Moscow, wanted to conquer this crossing point towards the oil of the Caspian Sea. They occupied 90% of the city. But they still had a few hundred miles to win. In front, the Soviets put up a relentless resistance against them. The Russian gunner Andrei Kozyanov was one of them.
We heard the footsteps and the breath of German soldiers. I can't see them with the smoke. We shoot following our instinct. By ear. My head is buzzing.
A total of 2 million people will die in Stalingrad. For the first time since the start of the war, Stalin, wisely, decided not to intervene himself and to let his Chief of Staff General Zhukov do the work. Zhukov had a battle plan. He wanted to trap the Germans they had just conquered in the city. November 19, 1942. At 7 in the morning. 1,400 tanks, over 1,000 planes and 1 million Soviet soldiers were rushing on the flanks of the Nazi army. These images taken after the battle during a reenactment show two Russian armies come together. A few weeks later, 300,000 German soldiers surrounded, poorly equipped and hungry surrendered with their leader. Marshal von Paulus. It's the first time that a Nazi marshal is captured alive. To Stalin, it is a miracle. In the eyes of the world, he is the first to defeat Adolf Hitler. And he will launch over the next 2 years the heroic counteroffensive Russian soldiers against Germany. Despite his crimes, despite his pact in 1939 with Hitler, Stalin became unavoidable. In Moscow, during the visit of General de Gaulle, then a few months later at the Yalta Conference, Allies all came meet the great Stalin. The Briton Churchill took a toast.
Is there anything more precious than the life of Stalin to each and every one of us? I sincerely hope the people of the Soviet Union would be able to preserve their marshal for a long time.
Churchill knew that since the victory in Stalingrad, the USSR was becoming a superpower. He knew that after months of a counteroffensive, the Red Army would soon enter Berlin. We are in the spring of 1945. These terrifying weapons, Stalin's followers, were bombing the German capital. Stalin decided to avenge Stalingrad and destroy Berlin. In front of such firepower, Germany finished by capitulating on the 8th of May 1945. Two months later, Generalissimo Stalin arrived in the German capital to celebrate his victory. In this famous propaganda movie, we welcomed Hitler's conqueror like a messiah. In fact, it's fiction where the role of Stalin is played by a lookalike. This masterful arrival never happened. Stalin was scared of flying. And contrary to these images, he hated crowds.
Comrades, today, we are celebrating the big victory on fascist Germany.
The real Stalin took an armored train to Potsdam, in the suburbs of Berlin, where 5,000 police officers were mobilized for his arrival. He was obsessed with the attacks. If he agreed to leave his country for the first time in 30 years, it's because the opportunity was worth it. He had appointments around the negotiation table with his American and British allies. Since the Yalta Conference, he asked for half of the European territory. That is all the countries that his army had liberated during the war. Stalin's demand was accepted by the Allies. Soviet rule from Eastern Europe was set to begin. It will last nearly half a century. For the Russian people, the price of victory is exorbitant. The conflict has annihilated 70,000 villages and killed 26 million people. In the summer of 1945, the soldiers were returning to their homes and getting ready to be reunited with their families. A soldier said,
"People are screaming, they are running. They are crying when the train arrives. The men kiss their wives. They hug the children they didn't see grow up. They proudly show their decorations and their wounds.
After so much suffering, they all want peace and quiet. For them, the crimes of Stalin are nothing but old memories. They are wrong. Stalin is at the peak of his power. It's been over 20 years that he's been leading the Soviet Union. For victory, we prepared a grandiose show for him with thousands of extras. Even the American General Eisenhower came along. However, Stalin seems to be absent. His health is fragile. He has memory lapses. He had several heart attacks. Above all, he is a single man. During the war, he lost his son Yakov, who was made prisoner of the Germans. It is said that Yakov sought to escape by crossing barbed wires. Stalin refused to exchange him against Marshal von Paulus, as Hitler proposed.
If I had traded Yakov, what would have said the fathers of the party, whose children were made prisoners too? If I had done that, I wouldn't have been called Stalin.
His private life was a disaster. He no longer sees his second son, the aviator Vasily, who became an alcoholic and who keeps flying over Red Square on his plane. More paranoid than ever, Stalin even got mad at Svetlana, his darling daughter, who is now a young woman. He didn't understand her need to have fun. He did not accept her romantic escapades, particularly the one with Jewish director Alexei Kapler, who he sent to the Gulag. He didn't accept either her marriage to Grigory Morozov, a Jewish, too. Over the years, Hitler's conqueror became anti-Semitic.
All the previous generation was contaminated by Zionism. And now they want youth to join.
As soon as the war was over, Stalin relaunched the purges depending on his mood and his craziness. With 2 million prisoners, including a large number of Jews, the Gulag had never been this full.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more content like this.